Hey, everybody, welcome to the Super Sunday Show. I hope you're all doing well. And as we get into it, we will hopefully have a few more people joining me today. But if not, you in the comments section hopefully can help me along as well. Um, a great, solid win from Arsenal in the North London Derby. One that we, every football game that you go into, there's no guarantee. No guarantees in anything. You start a game, it's 0-0, and you take your chances when you get into it. Arsenal won today without some key players. I mean, the media are framing it as two of our best players, or two of these best players that we have, but that's sort of overlooking the likes of William Saliba, Bukayo Saka, Trossard, David Raya, Ben White, all of the other players, and all of the squad as well. It overlooks the squad. So Declan Rice had through suspension. I think there was a number of injuries, especially to four of our left backs or players who could play in the left back position. Kieran Tierney, Kivior, Calafiori being amongst them, and Zinchenko also injured as well. We know Odegaard's injured. We don't know how long he's going to be injured for. But listen, throw in your comments in the chat box here. I'll see what conversation pieces we can get into. Exactly, Mr. Tom. It's all about the 3 points, indeed. Congratulations, Ray. Thank you, Tom. And I'm hoping from me to you, I'm hoping the Leeds can pick up some results as well and get their season moving as well. Afternoon, everyone. Stephen, thank you for joining us. Doesn't matter who didn't play, you won, and that's the important thing the media were seizing upon earlier today before the game. Listen, Manchester City have a really good squad, but in terms of when they're missing players, they have other players who can come in and do the job and get the win at the end of the day. So we did just beat Tottenham 1-0, taking the chance when it presented to us. So we were probably efficient with our chances at the end of the day. Tottenham had a lot of possession, as I think Human Son was saying. But you moved it from the left, move it to the right, threw a few crosses in there. Dominic Solanke was troublesome, slightly troublesome, but they didn't tear us apart. They didn't cut us open. And in any team, you're going to need players to do things for you. You need your goalkeeper to make some decent saves. You're going to need your defenders to defend very well. And that's what we did today in the North London Derby. You're going to need your midfield to be adequate. And I thought Partey and Jorginho together had a pretty good game. And then you're going to need your forward players. I thought the forwards were pretty quiet today, but gave Tottenham enough to worry about, and especially the few chances that we did have going forward. We're going to have to improve our link-up play moving forward. We're going to have to improve that final ball. Just throwing it into the box is not going to be good enough moving forward. And, we have talked about our summer business as well, and we have improved. We brought a couple of players in. Those players did not feature today. Calafiori and Mikel Merino. But essentially, going forward, we're looking at Raheem Sterling to be a difference maker. We're looking at maybe Martinelli to improve his output and his chances and his decision making. That one opportunity that Martinelli had to go through on goal in the first half, and we'll talk about it after 19 minutes. He had the opportunity to pass the ball to Bukayo Saka, and he could see the whites of the goalkeeper's eyes, but chose to take the shot. If you're going to take the shot, you have to, more often than not, you have to score. and there is going to be serious competition on the left side. Raheem Sterling is going to come in and put some pressure on Trossard and Martinelli. The Odegaard's absence, whether it's 3 weeks or 3 months, we're uncertain of how long Odegaard's absence will be. But that will mean more minutes for the likes of Trossard and Martinelli, and they could actually feature in the same team as well, such as today. And I thought Martinelli having Trossard on that left side was so important to actually get Martinelli and engineer some chances for Martinelli. He wasn't able to take a couple of those chances, and it was always going to be a tight, close game. Even last season at their place, we were leading 3-0, and in the end, it was a close game in the last few minutes. So definitely, we'll get into a few comments here. The only thing can affect is the points you pick up, 3 at a time. And this Manchester City team, if anyone's going to chase them down, the team that's going to chase Man City has to be always thinking about harvesting 3 points each and every weekend. And we go into in the league now, 2 points behind City. I think it's a perfect setup for next weekend. 2 points behind City, and we can have a little bit of an open game against them. We can go to the Etihad, not be completely open, as a lot of Arsenal fans want us to just open up against Man City, and you can't do that on their own patch. We're going to go there with the mindset of keeping things tight, just like we did today, and we're going to go there with the mindset of hopefully engineering a few chances. And like I said, this game today against Tottenham showcased again, the need to be able to piece together some passes in order to engineer excellent chances against the opposition. And we didn't do that so well today. But Arsenal teams of old used to be constructed of sticks, and wasn't able to be solid and stay the course. This team has something about them now. We're not going to lose games. We don't want to lose goals. David Raya and the defense want to keep clean sheet. Steven said Tottenham has a better squad. I say Tottenham is a better squad. I say BS. North London is red. Definitely, Stephen. Tottenham player fell over yesterday for Burnley to score. Tottenham player playing for Leeds. Okay. Or was that a Burnley player that was a Tottenham player fell over? Didn't Gary say Jorginho and Partey wouldn't last the whole 90 minutes? It was close in the end, Alonso. We saw Jorginho pulling up with cramp 10 or 15 minutes from the end. We needed Ethan Nwaneri to come on. And in the end, our front line of Bukayo Saka, Trossard, and Martinelli were all substituted in the end. And the real reason for that, Alonso, is because we didn't have a great selection of midfielders sitting on the bench. Obviously with Declan Rice and Mikel Merino, and without Odegaard, we were playing our second choice midfield, definitely, which turned out to be Trossard playing in the left 8 position alongside Partey and Jorginho. But they play quite well together. Arteta, Arsenal fans sitting back now in the comfort of their chairs, and the ones who want to criticize Mikel Arteta will say he didn't trust Ethan Nwaneri in that situation. But it's a North London derby. It's tough. Some part of me wants Mikel Arteta to be a little bit more brave as well. Michael, thank you for joining us today. Great result today. Not easy with 3 midfield players missing. Definitely. And that's what I was just saying. Our first choice midfield of Declan Rice, probably Mikel Merino, and Martin Odegaard were not available today. And due to injury, we're going to be without Mikel Merino and without Martin Odegaard. Thankfully, Declan Rice comes back into the fold when we go to Italy on Thursday, and we'll see him at the Etihad as well. So, so important to get the win today on the back of that statement. Without Declan Rice, and Declan Rice can come back into midfield and maybe give Jorginho. Listen, Jorginho had that cramp, and I wanted Jorginho to get some flow in the Brighton game. It just transpired, or Mikel Arteta was not brave enough to actually play Jorginho against Brighton and give him the minutes. I feel like Mikel Arteta, especially, maybe we can't judge him on the back of this week and what has happened in the first few weeks of the season. As any manager would, he probably looked at the opening games of our season. Wolverhampton Wanderers at home, Aston Villa away, Brighton at home, Tottenham away, and Man City yet to come. 5 very, very tough games, of which 3 are super hard away games at Aston Villa, at Tottenham today, and at the Etihad. And we've won 2 out of those 3, and with a possibility to win next week as well against Man City. I think it's important to talk about next Sunday as well against Man City and have the mindset that we're going to go there and win, Because we've seen in previous seasons, yes, we've beaten Man City at home and we've drawn at their place, but you really will you only really get 2 opportunities in the season to affect your rivals, to really put a dent in there or really slow them down. And our rivals are Manchester City, and you only get 2 opportunities, home and away, in the league. We have a great opportunity to play them away from home first. So let's see this opening 5 or 6 games as something that we can face head on, and 10 points out of 12. We should really be sitting on 12 points out of 12. Let's have it right with Chris Kavanagh against Brighton, making the difference. So let's get a few more comments in here. And there's lots more to talk about and go through the game here. We say how important Odegaard is to our right side of attack. Without him, it's as effective as our right side. We say how important Odegaard is to our right side attack. Without him, it's as effective as our right side. Maybe the left, right? The left is as effective as the right. But I definitely believe Trossard helped in that regard down the left-hand side with Martinelli. Trossard is that kind of player who has the ability to help Martinelli on that left side and put him in some good positions. It's up to Martinelli in the final steps, final stages, the final meters to the goal to start making an impact on the game. Maybe Jesus can help with Odegaard's absence. Yeah, indeed, Michael. Odegaard's out. You're going to look at the creative players that we have in our team. Raheem Sterling could be one of those players that plays in an Odegaard role. Ethan Nwaneri could definitely do that. Kai Havertz is another player, and Leandro Trossard. I think essentially where we're looking for our formation to be 4-3-3 when we have Odegaard, Rice, and Mourinho, we are now looking at maybe some different formations, to compensate for the absence of Odegaard, as we talked about earlier. And maybe we have to look at different formations, maybe a double pivot. Welcome, Gary. How are you doing?
Hello there.
Come on, Gary. We didn't lose. We won today.
No, we didn't. No. I'm taking the win.
You and I talked about this earlier on the pregame show. There could be nothing other than a W today, or else it would be detrimental to our season. A little bit tough going to Manchester City next Sunday. And now I feel like 2 points behind Man City, we can really go into that game and not play a really, really open game where we're going to be open at the back, but really have a go at City actually try to go and win that game. You know.
Yes. Yeah, you're supposed to try and win every game, so I don't think we have a choice anymore. Since the last two seasons have proved, you got to try to win everything. So yeah, yeah.
Michael said he thinks City seems vulnerable. They're conceding goals. There's a lot going on in the background. And, you know, if you I watched the first 15, 20 minutes of Brentford, and, you know, if a team can actually take their chances against Manchester City, they could get some joy. Teams seem to let Manchester City off the hook a little bit, and they're doing enough to win games at this point, which, you know, admittedly, it's a little bit scary, but we know who Man City are, and Man City should know who we are as well, you know. And there is a lot going on in the background with the court case about to open up on Monday. I think it is tomorrow. Steven said he'll take the 3 points, but I'm still worried about Saka, who looks slow at times. And yeah, he did limp off. Today we've seen Bukayo Saka limp off in games. I don't think there's a real necessity, and we'll have days and time to talk about this, but there's a real necessity to start Bukayo Saka on Thursday night in Italy for you, Gary.
Yeah. You want to? Oh, you want to put? You want to? You want to go here? My point of the old guys playing.
Missing the point. I love when Gary's wrong. No, I just put that up. I didn't even
You
see it.
did put it up there, just to yeah. You want to go after me? Got it.
I
No, you know what?
reread them.
As I've said, I don't want those two players playing at the same time. I think they're not good. They can't give us 90-minute back-to-back games, and I think that's going to be an issue. You know, I know we're getting healthier, so that's fine, but yeah, I don't like long-term player management. I think it's not going to work. And then like when they're injured, people will say they're always injured. Well, when you push them,
So
this is what you get.
you'd like
So
Saka to get some minutes on Thursday, keep things going.
as far as I was talking about the old guys, but now if you're talking about Saka,
Mm-hmm.
you don't want to talk about the other one. But Saka, no, I think
Yeah.
I think we should be able to. We need to sit him. You know, we should be able to rest him. I
Yeah.
think Sterling or Jesus, however they want to, make that switch,
Yeah.
should be able to give him the break that he needs. We're going to have to manage the players and give rotation when we can. I mean, I think he's limped off twice already this season.
Mm.
I think we've taken him off twice because he's gotten some
Yeah.
knocks and
Yeah.
late in games. So I kind of feel like
Was-
at some point, this is where at some point Arteta just needs to maybe switch out his players before they get to that, that time where they are going to get, the knocks are going to keep compounding themselves. All right. I mean,
Retro.
we have a
Yeah.
sleep squad for a reason. This is why you do that, right? So
Yeah. I'm hoping that Mikel Arteta will stand to those principles, especially after the Man City game when things get slightly easier. We all recognized the first 5, 6, 7 games here, Gary, were going to be difficult. Going to Aston Villa, going to Tottenham, going to the Etihad and Man City. But after that, it gets a little bit easier where you can cool off Saka
yeah.
or other players who are in the danger zone and let's start using the squad a bit more. I know we had about 6
You
players.
know what? The one thing that you're saying, I don't believe. You
What's
don't
that?
just do it because of the teams that you're playing. You just do it because of the squad that you have.
Well,
When
the
you when you when you
compromise.
when you rotate your players, it's not because you know what, we have an easy game coming up. It's usually because the
Well,
players need that time, right?
we know Mikel Arteta is not going to do that. So the compromise would be you have a slightly easier schedule. You
Yeah,
bring in
yeah.
and rotate a little bit. But
I think that's poor player management, and I don't think I don't think if we're where you think we need to be and where most of us think we need to be, that we can't switch out our players just because it's the big game. That's the thing we can't. Like you can't play both of those. You can't say you're there for player safety and then you're gonna force them to play when you know they're not gonna be able to give me what I want just because guess what? I can't sit them because it's the big game now. That's why you have a squad, all right? That's why you have a squad. That's why you rotate your players in and out. So I don't believe the idea is just, well, you know what? We have an easy game, so let's take him in and out of the squad, right?
Man City are probably the best team in the world right now. So.
And they rotate their players no matter what. We've played against them, and
they
haven't
do.
had this. And
Yeah,
but because they play with players that are healthy, they don't play with players that are hitting the, hitting the red zone, basically hitting, hitting the last legs and stuff like that. Because they don't do that. I think clubs don't do that. So
Retro rewind said good win. That midfield that's defensively was good. Rice, Jorginho, and Partey could be a boss midfield. Yeah. But you do need to have your creative midfielder in there somewhere.
Yeah. I don't think that's a good midfield for us.
I mean,
game where we need to
if you're playing a workman like 3 in midfield, like Liverpool used to do with Henderson, Thiago, and let's say Naby Keita, something like that. That's what Liverpool did. They put 3 workers in the midfield, but they had the likes of Mane, Salah, and Firmino up front.
Yeah.
A few seasons.
But as you lose the midfield. It doesn't matter who you have up top.
Yeah.
I mean, we won this game today. Why? We won this game on set pieces. I mean, not as much. We didn't have as much fun as we would like to in terms of build-up play.
That was a little disappointing, right, Gary? You saw it as well. The opportunities we engineered. We were 1 or 2 passes away from getting in on goal. The times we did get in on goal, we weren't clinical enough. And so we are who we were last season as well in that respect. We just need to improve in those areas. Right? Urian Timber is doing great for us. Listen, I'm going to put him up as my Tony Don Juan man in the match for sure. Urian Timber was amazing. We'll get into the game and talk about the specific incidents then in a second. Alonso, we cannot rely on playing Partey and Jorginho every game. Yeah, they should be subbed each other off every game. This was a bit of a break glass in case of emergency.
I don't think we needed to. We had enough players. We didn't have to break glass. This isn't one of those times.
Well, we didn't have a lot to do.
We had enough. We had Jesus, we had Sterling, we had answers. Yeah.
Those are forward answers.
Yeah, and they push Havertz back. That's what they do.
Yeah.
So we had answers.
Actually, Gary, Havertz played up front. Remember we were talking about this morning?
That's my point. I don't want Havertz in the midfield, but I don't like breaking glass with our 2 oldest players that our injury will wear down if we continue to do.
That's it. That's all we had. That's all we could play.
That's why Havertz can play in the midfield.
Yeah, Trossard played left 8 in this game, though. Right?
No, but Havertz could play in the midfield, and you could have started with either Jesus or Sterling. You had options. Is what I'm trying to say.
What I'm trying to say is, I think Trossard's better than either Jesus. Sterling.
Yes, I believe you. That is correct, but not when you're depleted like we are. You have to make adjustments. We weren't down. It wasn't as if like I said, I don't believe Jorginho and Partey playing together is a good option. It's not something we can lean on too often.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, this is probably, Gary, will you agree with me? This might be the only game that we'll see Partey and Jorginho.
I would have done it when we needed to do it, and this wasn't the time.
That was today, yeah.
We didn't need to do it today.
You didn't need to play Partey and Jorginho together.
No, we didn't need to do
that.
Who
would you have played? What would you have played in the midfield?
Trossard. I mean, Havertz could have played in the midfield. And then you don't have to play both Jorginho and Partey. Okay. I mean, what part of that do you get, man?
I'm telling you what the team was.
No, you can tell. I know what the team was, but what I'm saying is, it's a terrible decision to think that having Jorginho and Partey playing together is a good idea. I don't think it is.
It was due to suspension and injury.
Okay, we're not talking the same thing. You're talking about this. I'm talking about that. I guess you don't get.
I'm talking about this game. I'm talking about this game.
Talking about this game, yeah. You don't play them in this game. You don't need to.
We couldn't play anybody else.
I just told you could have played Havertz. We did
play Havertz.
You could have played Havertz in midfield. Stop. What part of that don't you get?
Yeah, but Trossard, you said this
You could
morning
have played
Trossard was better
Trossard,
in
Havertz,
midfield.
and Partey. You could have done that.
Oh my God. Okay, we're gonna move on.
I don't get it. You're not getting it. You're not getting it.
You would have played Partey, Havertz, and Trossard.
That's what I said. Yeah.
Okay, and you would have played Jesus up top.
Jesus or Sterling, depending on how you wanted to go about
Okay,
it. Yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
Okay, I am shocked the Spuds didn't take more advantage of the lack of pace in our midfield. Both players read the game well, but when they get beat, they have problems getting back. Very true. But I think if you have a double pivot, you kind of limit the possibilities of both players getting beat in the same movement. Uh, Gary, Jesus is still not ready, and Trossard cannot physically cope with Tottenham's defenders. Arteta had no choice with Jorginho and
Yeah.
Partey. One vote for Ray. Gary, thanks for being here for jousting with me for a little bit anyway. So
No, I get it. Defensively, but I mean, maybe offensive. You know what? You combat. We don't. When we are fully strength, we're not necessarily. We're beating people
oh,
with the press, and the high press is coming from our attackers. It's not coming from our defensive, back line. All right. We're winning games because we got our press from Erdegaard leading the press
yeah,
makes things difficult for. So to say, you know what, defensively that's the issue. No, we press from the front, and that makes a big difference in games. So,
yeah.
it's
And
just a different way to look at things.
this was important for confidence as well. Without Odegaard, as you say, without Declan Rice, without Mikel Mourinho, we basically played maybe a side that you could see in the FA Cup. You know what I mean in terms of our midfield. Retro said playing a false nine where you play a workhorse midfield for me works better in big games for me. I agree with you, Gary. Not every game. You never put Havertz in midfield, Gary. That's delusional.
We do put Havertz in midfield. That's but as you said break glass. You put your old guys in. I say break glass. You put Havertz in. So,
Okay.
potato
Yeah.
potato. They both answer the question as
Let
to
me just
how
tell
to
you,
how
we're
to
going to see
cover
both
that.
things, Gary. When
Yeah.
when Arteta
Hope we
needs to
never
break
see that
glass.
again. Partey and
All right,
Jorginho. Yeah.
Gary, you got to vote. You got to vote as well. Right, Gary's right. We should have played midfield of Havertz at midfield and Jesus up front. I'm just telling you, you seem to forget what Jesus looks like up front versus Havertz. You want to get a goal? We were lucky
What did you
in a
see from
sense.
Havertz today in the way that we played?
He had quite a few headers.
Yeah.
That's what I saw from Havertz.
Yeah. No,
A threat that Jesus couldn't have given us up front. That's what I saw.
it's a different way to play, though, right?
Yeah. Partey and Jorginho did not really press high. I don't think Gary wanted to reference Partey and Jorginho. He's talking about probably
That's
the
why I don't
forward
want them.
players.
They can't. They're not going to press high. That's the point, right?
So Tottenham did not have much space to run behind, and rule that's basically the double pivot that we employed, combined with the four at the back. We gave ourselves a solid shield to limit Tottenham and their opportunities. I thought Ben White marshaled Son very well. I
No, he
did
didn't.
worry a little.
No, it wasn't Ben White. It was Timber who marshaled Son really well. Let's get it
Son
right.
was on the left hand.
He
Was
was
on
on
the
the
left
right
hand
hand side.
side.
If you saw how you saw how
Well, you know what? I'm referencing the first probably half because I think Son probably switched flanks. Then they probably switched flanks around because I know I was worried about Ben White getting the yellow card on Son because we know what Son did to Rob Holding a number of years ago as well.
He was pretty quiet though for the game in general.
Yeah.
So.
Kulisevsky was pretty quiet. There was a couple of long range shots that pulled on my heart a little bit, heartstring, giving me a little bit of nerves. But for the most part, Madison was kind of deep in midfield, didn't really hurt us as well. I thought Ben played pretty well. With Timber was really outstanding. So I'll give Ben some props for playing well because he did the times that he was up against his winger. He made them go back infield and go back away from goal.
Yeah, I mean,
So
yeah,
Ben
one
White
of the,
was
I mean,
good.
one of the reasons Ben stood out is not as good as usual, as he gave up the ball up multiple times and put a lot of pressure on the defense.
Yeah,
So,
that
so
giveaway.
I mean, he did that. It wasn't really clean today.
Hmm.
So
Especially
he
that
went.
giveaway,
Yeah.
Gary. White passing out, and the Tottenham press after 14 minutes. Solanke gets on the end of the White mistake. Wasn't able to take his chance. William Saliba quite early as well picked up the yellow card for delay of game.
Hmm.
It seems like an American football term, delay of game, but not. It seems to be not to always be the person to say this, because many Arsenal fans do say it. It always seems to be Arsenal, Gary.
No,
You
you're
know,
not. Why can't we say it?
well, we're saying it, aren't we?
No, no, I know. So you're like you sound like you don't want to say it, like all the other Arsenal player fans. But guess what? We saw it plain as day. We
Yes.
see it consistently. They're gonna call it, yeah, but
Arsenal are
but not
being held
consistently, but not
by the
consistently
letter of
for
the
the
law.
other. But yeah, but everybody else has got a different law that they abide
But
by.
I thought it was funny at the end of the first half when two Tottenham players got booked for two yellow cards within seconds. It reminded me of Martinelli's situation at Wolverhampton Wanderers, and Son trying to remonstrate with the referee. Why is he doing that? Well, Son, we saw this at Wolves when Martinelli committed supposedly committed two yellow cards within 8 seconds and got sent off for it. You're lucky there was just Kulusevski and Van de Ven
He
in
played
that
the
situation.
advantage, and then they fouled anyway. So you
Yeah.
know what? When he plays the advantage, you got to play to the whistle, right? And you don't play to the whistle, then you run the risk of getting a second card if you don't, if you based on what they did. So I mean, it was, I don't know. It's not like he did something maliciously or I think out of against the rules of what a referee
Hmm.
does. You can
Yeah.
see him playing the advantage, and then they took him down anyways, right? So,
Yeah.
um, I think it was as it should be. I don't know. Two yellows on the same player in the same like within the same minute. Not even knowing they're on a yellow is a totally different situation.
Mm. Yeah.
You know.
Um, David Raya was quite good in a lot of the game. Made quite a few saves. For me, Tottenham had a lot of possession, and it worried me slightly that they had a lot of possession, but they didn't do. When we're looking back at this game, I mean, you're in the game, you've got nerves, right, Gary? We're a little bit worried that they're going to do something with all this possession, but
Yeah.
look back in the game, you're going to tell yourself we won 1-0, and Tottenham had a lot of possession, but didn't do very much with it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, yes, and one of the things that stood out for me why I don't believe Jorginho and Partey work is they really weren't involved much in the game the way you would want them to be. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it's like they just bypassed them. They just were extra bodies getting in the way. They weren't really supporting us in terms of the buildup. I mean, balls just kind of went by them. A lot of that, especially that first half. So, and then when they did get the ball, a couple, they made some loose passes as well. So I just don't like that experiment. Um, just not something I want to see again. Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, and look, with injuries and suspension being affecting this game, hopefully we won't see this very much again, other than the odd Champions League game or the odd cup game here and there. The rule said, I guess the yellows were balanced tonight. That's all we asked for. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. I thought, listen, it's easy to say this now. We won the game, but I would have said anyway. The referee had a pretty decent game. I thought he was letting Tottenham away with a lot of stuff early on in the game, but he sort of he refereed it very well. And we'll come to that flashpoint, Gary, with Timber. You know, um, first of all, Timber gets a yellow card, which you could say is a fair, is not fair. I believe it's fair, a fair decision. You're shaking your head. You think it was a clean tackle, right?
You
There's
look at
no
it.
way.
You look at you look at it, and the reason why they couldn't call they they looked at it to see it was a red card is because it was a clean tackle.
Yeah.
He hits the ball. He's on top of the ball. There was actually no contact, I believe, on the player. Yeah, yeah.
Will is right. And you're saying, Gary, Arsenal cannot play the same every day. Our two main professors of the ball were missing.
Well, it's not.
Yeah.
It's more like I never want to see Partey and Jorginho play together. That's the that's something I don't want to see. It's like I don't want to like
Well,
Zinchenko. I don't really need to see him anymore. You know, I think
yeah.
he's a concern. So yeah, I hear what you're
And
saying in terms of like play. We don't need to play. If you're good enough, you can play your way, and everybody has to cater to that. I believe when we're healthy, we can play the same way every game because we are that good. All right, we don't have to cater
yeah,
to the strengths of the other side in
yeah,
most games, right?
yeah.
So
Like I said, I think we were by depletion in midfield. That's what we were left with. You didn't. We don't like it. Not many of us liked it, but we got through the game. We won, and that's the best thing that we can take from this game. Is 3 points. It's more important than the North London derby. They might want to play out for this one game of the season, but we have um, bigger ideas about this season than they will. So the flashpoint then. Okay, it's you for you. It's not a yellow card. I don't believe it's a yellow card either. But within the tenets of the away game, the fans, the home support getting on the referee a little bit, he gives the yellow card to Urian Timber. I actually think he does it very well, Gary, because he's like, I'm not letting this escalate to a red. This is going to be a yellow. I'm going to take the yellow card out of my pocket right away and show everybody that I'm giving a yellow card, you know, in the Timber situation. And it escalates very quickly to Vicario getting involved. I'm actually happy the referee, um, maybe by his own vision or by VAR intervention, they see that the Vicario is the he incites the start of the flashpoint, right, Gary?
yep, yep. And when he puts his hands on Timber, Timber responds in kind, which I like. We're not going to be pushovers. So
Good. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So we want to be able to stand up for ourselves, and we did. So yeah, I like that part of it. Yeah, and they were starting to lose their head for about like that
At
5 to
that point.
10 minute period,
Yeah,
right? I
yeah.
mean, and they were getting frustrated. They weren't getting much, which is what we're going to do because I believe that we're that good of a team. So yeah, it would have been nice to have put a goal in during that time. We just couldn't do it.
Well, yeah.
Um,
My notes right after is perfect refereeing from the ref. He gives one yellow each side, and then now is the time to strike for a halftime lead. You know, if we'd have taken, if we got we they were unbalanced at that point. They weren't thinking clearly, and if we'd have taken that goal to go in at halftime, would have been perfect as well. Alonso, how are you? Thanks for joining.
You're welcome.
Hey,
Hi.
the Timber flashpoint. What are your thoughts on that one? Did you see that in the first half?
Yeah, I kind of thought that the foul, it wasn't a foul. I think he got all ball there. Maybe there's some fanatics on the other end, but yeah, I thought it was a clean tackle, but maybe the follow through wasn't all that clean, I guess. But
Mhm.
this what happens whenever you want both teams to win. I think this what happens whenever you're trying to prove a team, and then the crowd is kind of winding it up too. So yeah, I mean, it was bound to start at any given moment. It always happens at these matches, the high energy matches, and
Yeah,
um, both teams weren't doing much as far as theatrics of it all. So it was bound to happen, and I think that the goalkeeper getting involved was kind of unnecessary if you're an Arsenal fan, but it did happen, and Timber was class today. He was very, very good, and in my opinion, he was man of the match.
yeah,
Um, because the way he handles things and composure and all that. So for me, it's kind of I'm kind of glad that Gabriel Magalhaes didn't lose his head either during that scuffle, because he's known to get involved and he sometimes gets too involved in those kind of clashes. So, I think, cooler heads obviously prevailed, and Ricardo got a yellow card because of that. Also, these guys are Jason Chelsea and Lane Johnson. Thus,
Yeah, listen, I think we're getting quite good at these away game days. Where we control the game, but I understand that the home team can get on the referee, and we have to be careful not to cross that line where we will get more discipline than the home team. It's not easy to win away from home in the Premier League. If you're a really really good team, you can do it. Um, in truth, says Rule, the shape of Timber's body going in and the tackle could have been viewed as a red until the video was shown. I mean, I think again the referee takes the perfect stance on this yellow card and then allows VAR to look at it, and they took a look at it, and yeah, it does look like a step over on the ball, but there's no intention to go over the top of the ball into the shin. I had one Liverpool fan try to talk about Curtis Jones to me, and that was a completely different situation at the same ground last season with Liverpool and Tottenham. Jurgen Timber was amazing, Gary, on the day. Involved in that incident, worked well down the left with Martinelli, and was defensively brilliant as well. In the 43rd minute, he races back and puts in a fantastic block on Johnson close to halftime.
Yep. Yeah, no, it was a good game from Timber. Not much you can say too bad about the way he played. Was solid back there. Just once again, our back line is solid, and it was once again. He's been part of that. See when we get healthy how that plays out. But yeah, no, he played really well. I even heard people saying that maybe he if we were healthier, maybe he would have moved into midfield and played there. But I think he's that versatile to be able to do that. But yeah, no, really good game from him. Defensively solid, like you said, got sun in the second half a little bit, or late in the second half when they were trying something different. Pretty much, quieted him just like Ben White did. And yeah, they didn't get much. I didn't feel too threatened. I mean, we know Johnson isn't really doesn't scare opponents much, and he didn't again today. So yeah, kind of kept them quiet. But yeah, no, yeah. I think I know a lot of people have Timber as man of the match. I think Gabriel is man of the match there. Okay. Part of that. Yeah. You look at another clean sheet. He scores the winning goal. I mean, just a complete
performance
package. Yeah, complete performance from him.
Yeah.
I mean, he was. Saliba wasn't what he usually was, right? So Gabriel was that man today, which is what you hope for when you.
I think Saliba maybe was mindful of being on that yellow card early on, and had to be careful. We all said it right at the time. You're on a yellow card now, Saliba. You need to have a quiet. You almost have to have a quiet game for the rest of the game. And I feel like any incidents where Saliba was going to be isolated, there was another player to help him in that situation, defend, so he didn't have to jump in as well. So a complete defensive performance. David Raya is picking up clean sheets everywhere he goes, and Tottenham get battered everywhere they go, even when they travel to their homes.
Yeah, like Steven said, I was saying that with the midfield the way it was, more than likely we're gonna we'll be able to play defensively strong, and our set pieces and their set pieces and our set pieces plays in our favor, right? And it did.
I remember you mentioning set pieces. Yeah, would be very important. Stephen had man in the match between Gabriel and Timber. I'm going with Timber as well, along with Alonso. With Gabriel taking it because of the goal, which Gary called a couple of days ago. Canterbury Gooner, ready. What do we have to say about you, Riddy? I need you to trust your team and believe in your team a little bit more already. You were talking about draws left, right, and center. You'd be happy with a point. You'd take home a point. I bet you're happy now, already. We got all three for you. So there you go. Next time, have a little bit more faith behind your team, ready. I'm just joking around, busting on you. Tom said my plan to lose the upset pick game by picking all my enemies to win and then not getting any points for it. Very good plan. I think you could get less points than Derby County. Less points than 11. If you really, really try hard, Tom, you could do this. There is no points for last place. Defensively, we were good. Any shots they got were pretty much straight at Raya. Yeah, there was a couple of headers, a couple of shots. Raya did well and wasn't troubled. I can't remember anything that really. There was a header early in the first half where Solanke looped the ball over Raya and it just went wide of the post. Big Gabby was massive with the goal, but put in some quality defending, and that's why he gets Gary's vote. You almost feel like Gabriel Magalhaes should have been given the captain's armband for this game. He's that kind of player that just leads. He's a leader of men. You know what I mean? Yeah. Jorginho was given the captain's. Mr. Lowy, massive 3 points today, ladder. Indeed. 3 points on the clean sheet at the lane. So happy today. There you go, Riddy. You should take 2 points away because of a lack of faith, really. Yeah. Only Riddy. He only.
Oh, yeah. I was about to say, I don't know. That's not for everybody.
Gary, I must ask if your channel survived after Paul Pod came on. Okay.
So far, I haven't got any emails, so I don't know. But you guys keep bringing the damn name up over and over again. So if they didn't know about it, they're going to continue to know about it because you keep bringing it up.
Wow. Do I need to be clued in on this or not?
No, it's probably better for, you can claim you didn't know if you go under a lie detector. Yeah.
Really said defensively we were rock solid. Midfield wasn't great, too, though, but that was to be expected. Yeah, that was an emergency break glass kind of midfield. It creaked, it bent a little bit, but it didn't break. It creaked a little bit. It needed a little bit of oil, but there you go. James Fernandez, thanks for joining us. Good to see you, James. Thought I should show my face today. And big up yourself for coming in and saying hi. It's not easy when your team loses as well. Well played, lads, and as always, hope you're all well. Hope you are doing well, James. And we wish you well for the rest of the season, other than when you play us. Definitely don't Google that. Okay.
Yeah,
there you go.
I'm trying to like stop people from actually putting that up on the channel. So
Tom always obliges.
Don't put anything Mr. Tom says on up on your channel anymore. Okay.
He knows by saying not to do that.
No. It doesn't matter what he says. Just if he puts anything in the chat, just ignore it and move on to the next thing.
Okay. You're asking me to pre-read. I do pre-read them.
No, so you didn't because you put it up again.
That's the last. That was my final warning. You gained 2 subs from it, though.
I don't. That could be a problem.
Havertz was all right and did really well to hold up play today. Yeah, he did well in some instances, but I'm always wanting more from this team and perfection in the forward places as well. And we had a number of chances, probably 3 or 4 good chances in each half where we could have done better with the ball. I think it's more like fear of losing to your rivals rather than lack of faith. 2 Sides of the Pitch podcast from a Spurs fan. Shit. Well played, even though I'm salty about the push. The push? What push? Was there a push on the keeper? Is that what
yes. Lee Dixon, he must have brought up the push at least 10 times.
Paul Merson was on about it too.
Yeah, like they're all like, that's a push. And it's like, Come on, guys, give it a break. They
The
even
same
looked at it.
people,
They even looked at it and said it wasn't.
yeah,
So give it a
the
break.
same people were saying that the Newcastle goal that we conceded was legitimate. Make it make sense, Alonso. You know what I mean? Uh, Alonso is patiently waiting for Tony to arrive.
Because Tony will say, well, they've Arsenal played in a back three, which did not happen. So I was kind of hoping that we played point counterpoint.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Tony
yeah, I
won't
mean,
turn up today, right? He won't be
it's kind
here.
of cool how Gabriel Magalhaes seems like to me, he's always been more composed in these bigger games. Knowing that there's a left back he could trust. And I think the games that we've watched this year, we had Timber play left back. It seems like Magalhaes is more laid back and more trusting on it. There's a real defensive left back next to him doing the work that Zinchenko is supposed to do. So I think that's why this defensive record is still pretty good, solid. And I don't think Zinchenko would have done any better in midfield today. And it proves that why he doesn't need to be on the team, nowhere near the team, because they're still playing good despite him not being around. But yeah, anyway, when you score that header, I kind of felt that Gabriel Magalhaes shows up in big occasions and big matches like this one that we saw today because he has a knack for scoring headers in very pivotal moments of the game.
Yep. He's a warrior. He's a warrior. Going in the second half, Jorginho got a yellow card as well. We're getting a little bit stretched. Coming up to 60 minutes, my notes say we need a breakthrough after 60 minutes. You kind of get like you want 3 points. You need 3 points. You may even concede a goal. So I really wanted that goal to come, Gary, after 60 minutes in this game.
Yeah, no, we were talking about it during the game. I mean, I think at halftime Arteta should have really made a sub. I mean, Martinelli and Jorginho for me in this game were struggling more than we needed. More than was it wasn't good. So it would have been good to sub. I mean, sub both of them. Martinelli was, as you say. I mean, he was wasteful today. Really wasteful. That one attempt, that one shot that he had that he was trying to go to the far post. I mean, that's we have to expect him to score in in that kind of a situation, or make the pass to Saka for the quick tap in. Right, it's one of the two.
Yeah.
So I was hoping for a sub at halftime, which is rare for Arteta to do that. He only subs when we're injured, and I always find that subs early. He won't sub early just because of game state. But he held on, and the plays pulled it out. I guess I kind of feel like you have a squad so you can refresh put some fresh legs out there and maybe get a little bit something different out of the game. And that's why I believe Trossard coming off the bench is going to probably be where we go as we move along. Because he comes off the bench, even if he's pissed off or not, he goes in there and performs. So, yeah, no, I was hoping for a sub earlier just because I think we needed to change something up. They got the first subs in. We did finally get subs in, but yeah, it worked out for us. I just don't like playing that card when you have players that can come in and give you minutes. So.
Yeah, as the weeks go on, we discover the extent of Odegaard's injury. It will bring, like I said earlier, Trossard and Martinelli more minutes as well, and be on the same field as well. So we were talking about that this morning. You're going to see Martinelli and Trossard together on the same field. Listen, while Martinelli didn't take his chances, I thought he looked better than in previous games as well. And I thought that was because of maybe Trossard helping him, on that side. But one of the breakaways that I wanted to be a bit more clinical did yield a corner for us. And from that corner, Alonso, We get the breakthrough. We get the goal from Gabriel Magalhaes. And, another set piece, as Gary said on Thursday night, does it for Arsenal.
Yeah, and I think with the way we've been taking corners in the past is that Rice has been really, really good at taking corners, and Saka, to a certain extent, has gotten to that point as well. So yeah, I mean, it's just really, really cool how dynamic they could be when scoring goals and being right place, right time, and um, I think to be successful, we're gonna have to have a good coach come from that, and I think we've kind of got come a long way where um, it's gotten to a point where we're not leading the league in a certain amount of time and set pieces. So it's been quite a pleasure to see how we're not getting it right all the time, but we're being quite successful to a point where the opposing team can even defend our corner kicks. Um, but today, I think, despite Saka giving out an assist, I think we missed Declan Rice a lot today, and Odegaard as well. I think it's important to have all three healthy, or Partey as well, because then you see the other dimension. But I think Declan Rice's free kicks have been quite amazing too. Excuse me, corner kicks. Um, to see how good he's been in that area as well.
Yeah, definitely. We'll get Declan Rice back on Thursday. I would love to know what Arteta says at halftime because it doesn't work and we come out slow and in a shell. But Stephen, you've seen that in the documentary, the kind of the things that Arteta wants to focus on. He'll gather the group together and he'll tell them. I don't know if you can put what you see on the field in the second half down to what Arteta's saying. I don't know if there's a direct correlation. The players have a responsibility to go out and play better in the second half as well. Tactical professor, you should be ashamed of that performance. Well, winning 1-0, getting a clean sheet. I'm very ashamed of it. If that's being ashamed of that performance, I'll take how many more games we got in the league? 34 more of those. I'll take 34 more 3 points, and that would be fine by me. Playing like Burnley using Sean Dyche tactics, I don't think so. I think we play a little bit better football than Burnley. Martinelli is a better player as part of the second line of four. Yes, he should do better in the attacking sense, but he played a very important role today. And look, I'm not going to overlook the defensive side of his game because there was a couple of instances today where Martinelli was covering for Jurriën Timber when there was a 2-on-2. Martinelli stayed with his player in that left back position and I think conceded a corner at one point as well. So Martinelli does have the ability to go from corner to corner all the way on that left hand side.
Yeah, and I noticed that Lee Dixon was saying how like it's going to take time if Timber is going to be left back, and Martinelli is going to have to work with him on how to develop that side.
Yep.
Because as a fan, I want Martinelli to succeed as well. I think that he hasn't got off to beautiful starts, but I think there's still a player in there that could still be valuable to us moving forward. It just hasn't happened right now for whatever reason. Ever since last year he got hurt, it hasn't been really the same. But that being said, he's more than capable of turning up any game, any minute, and I think that's just encouraging about that. It's just a matter of time before Timber and himself can get ready to play with each other because, how can I say this? It's different when you have Zinchenko playing in back of him than you have Timber because they're both different players. But I think Timber is starting to get a hang of things, how Arteta wants him to be played, but then it comes easier for Timber, it seems like now. Now that he's got some games in, and Martinelli is trying his best to work with Timber, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, totally. Gotcha.
Yeah, I got a couple of things. You talked about halftime, and the reason why at least I complain about the way that Arteta handles the halftime is because issues that showed up in the first half, you think you go into halftime and you remedy that, and we barely ever see that. And so if we're not going to see it by the instructions being laid out, then maybe it's a change in the squad, in the players that you bring out in the second half to get things done, because that's not happening. So the same issues we had in the poor parts of the first half showed up in those first 15 minutes of the second half. So like
Yeah.
nothing changed. So for me, what was said at halftime, we saw a lot of it on the shows, but we didn't see any changes much, and that's kind of my concern with the way that we handle the half times. We don't get nothing changes. Um, then like Martinelli, yeah, no, Martinelli does all the other things right. As you say, he does come back support the left back. It doesn't matter who it is. He's defensively sound when he does that as well, because he's got the pace. But on top of that, we always talk. His one of the primary roles that he has is on the attack. All right,
Mhm.
that's priority one. He's a
Mhm.
wing. He's supposed to attack, and we're supposed to get something out of it.
Yep.
And he's lacking in that aspect of the
Yep.
game. So we're like missing out on opportunities to score. And when we don't score, it puts a lot of pressure on us to be perfect on defense, and you're not
Yep.
always going to be perfect. So
Yep.
that's the thing the thing that I think we have with him, right? Is that
He's going to be.
it's an issue there for us, I
Yeah,
believe.
Martinelli's going to be compared to a Jack Grealish or a Doku, or he's going to be compared to a Lucho, Diaz, um, up at Liverpool, or he's going to be compared to a maybe even a Sadio Mane. Because we know Bukayo Saka can do something similar, some to his his other what I want to say, his other opponents in those positions. He can do something similar to, a Mo Salah. He can do something similar to a Foden. We know Saka's going to hold his end up, but we need Martinelli to do that on that side as well. And look, tactical professor, you can stay here as long as you are respectful and don't use any really bad language. But yeah, Martinelli needs to step up as well. Yeah, and look, might not even get a real winger like Nico Williams. Trossard could take a spot again this season, or Raheem Sterling could be the one who takes it as well. You know what I mean? Mr. Lowy said, I've been watching Arsenal for upward of 20 years, and I feel we could do with some more legs in midfield, but I'm honestly proud of where the club and the team is at the moment. Come on, you Gunners. That's part of, I think, what has triggered some of the anti Mikel Arteta's now is this new contract that has been presented to Mikel Arteta. And for me, that represents represents stability, and that represents progress. And we are a club that's going forward, challenging with Man City. Right, Martin Krapex Jr., I'll give you a second to get out of here and say goodbye. Lonzo, go.
Yeah, see you guys. I'm up to see the race. Hopefully, Martin Griffin can win a race. He starts second today. Looking forward to seeing that, and I'm glad Arsenal beat Tottenham today. Anyways, you guys take it easy. See you guys next time. Bye.
Here.
Cheers, Alonzo. Thanks for being here. Yeah, listen, we're going to get into the goal, Gary. And listen, one thing that Arsenal can do well are set pieces. And I don't know if you noticed, but I'm sure you did notice, is the bank of two players. I think it was Ben White and Saliba providing traffic in front of the goalkeeper and not allowing that goalkeeper to come out from his line. As with White and Saliba, they bring their markers with them, and Vicario's got to fight through four players, which is impossible for him to do.
Yeah, the the set pieces for I think a large in the beginning, right, weren't that good. Right, they weren't that good. The set pieces. I mean, some of them weren't even making it
The
past the
first
first
half.
man. They were pretty low, low passes and
Yeah.
low crosses and all of that. So we were kind of not taking advantage of those when we had them. And that one perfect pass that Saka puts in there in a good spot, we attack it and it works out. So, but yeah, we weren't really getting that kind of service earlier in the game, but we got it that one with the point. We got it the one time we needed it at the least, right? And we put it away. So
Mhm.
yeah, no, I think for me, I don't care how we score. If it's by PKs, if it's by set pieces, if it's by deflections, and then
Yeah.
the goals go in all different types of ways. You
Yeah.
have to put yourself in the right, give yourself the right opportunities to score, be it by putting the ball into the box towards the goal, right, or corner,
Help.
or properly putting your free kicks into the space, right.
Help.
So
Yeah.
all of those give you better odds to score. So I think we did it. When we needed it, it played off for us. But we'll have a complete game, right, where we'll score all types of goals all in one game, right? If you score just one of each of those, that's at least 4 goals. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Listen,
yeah,
going back to Mr. Lowry's comment as well, we've been doing this for 5, 6, 7 years now.
Mhm.
And now we're in a position, Gary, the last 2 or 3 years, they've been fun. And they haven't been fun at the end of the season where we haven't come away with trophies. But most weeks we're sitting here with wins, and we're sitting here talking about wins, and we can still argue a little bit, little things in there, here and there, like an emergency break blast for Partey and Jorginho, bring them out again, dust them off, put them on the field.
Mhm.
But we're not having the major arguments we would have if we're losing, because when you're losing, you go into a devolving cyclone of discourse that is difficult to get out of in a way. So happy that our club is going in the right direction. Stephen said an odd stat about Martinelli is that he was 2 in the club in completed passes under pressure, right behind Rice. He was 94%. I so would that stat let's bore down into that one, Gary. Would that stat reflect because Martinelli seems to run into the corners and get dispossessed? So the passes he's making are the ones that are going back to a fullback or going inside to a midfielder. Like,
I mean,
he's
I
not
think
trying to find. He can't find the 6% is the 1 or 2 times you can't find a player in the box, right?
yeah, no, yeah, yeah. It is misleading, that stat, in the sense that we talk about him being wasteful in the attacking third.
Yeah,
And usually, and it's because, one, he doesn't take the shot, or he takes a poor shot, or that he runs the ball out of bounds, right? Or, as you say, the few times that he needs to make that particular pass to put it on a plate for one of his teammates, he doesn't do that. Um, so
doesn't or
yeah,
can't.
so 94% is good under pressure, but we don't the 6% is probably the ones where we want him. Like, I'd rather him be 88% and put the 6% ones in there, is the ones that
Yeah,
we
because
get the goals out of. But that's kind of how I look at that one. The stat is a little misleading,
yeah,
because he's under pressure. He doesn't lose, you know, not lose. He doesn't make a pass. He might lose the ball. So I don't know how much lost possession he has in those type of
the
situations as
six
well.
percent, the 6% could represent one of the 15 times he has the ball in a dangerous area, and the 6% could be a goal or 2 goals. It could be an assist, and it could be a goal. Yeah, as Rule said, stats are really ridiculous. Nothing beats the eye test,
Yeah.
and what we're continuing to see, unfortunately, with Martinelli, we want him everybody wanted him to do something with that ball when he broke through in the 18th minute with no defenders near him. You could just sort of see the goalkeeper
Yeah.
on his right foot. You want him to curl that into the corner. You want him to hit one of the
So
top.
I'm like, so that stat that says that under pressure he's good, but on
Yeah,
an FB ref, as far as successful take ons, he's in the 74 percentile, you know, and let's see what Saka is in terms of, you know, that. But I
Yeah.
kind of feel like that might be the one that we're thinking of when we think of, well, he's wasteful in that final third. So Saka, in terms of Saka's even worse on successful take-ons. He's like 42%. So, you know, so it's definitely something else going on there that, you know, there's probably a stat out there that shows why Saka, you know, is, you know, better in certain situations than Martinelli. Martinelli's 74%, and I think when he loses the ball, it seems worse, but he's better than Saka on that one. I thought that was one that stood out, but
It's almost as if Saka is doing more with less,
yeah,
with less good possession. He's doing more things with less good possession, which,
yeah,
you know, if Saka was up in the 60s, would be scoring 2 and 3 goals each game. It is a little bit worrying at this point in the season that we haven't scored more than 2 goals in a game, and we haven't obviously had 3 goals in a game. So Declan Rice said recently, coming out of an international break, that he's basically been using these games as his preseason, and you know the same thing could be happening with Bukayo Saka. Due to the corner, he gets himself an assist. Bukayo Saka adds an assist to today, so that's good for him. After the goal, then Gary, we're 1-0 up, and then it's really about, you know, we don't want to concede. We get out of there with 3 points, if possible, going at a second goal. But for me, on 73 minutes, which is about, I waited for about 10 minutes to see how the game would, the ebb of the game would go after the goal. My notes are a goal up, but we still need to threaten them. It seemed like we didn't have too much possession at that point in the game, and we weren't able to hold on to the ball either for about 10 minutes after. It was a little bit like the Brighton game, but not as bad, where we looked a little bit, especially when Sterling came on as well on 79 minutes. It didn't look like Sterling knew exactly what his assignments were defensively. And we didn't look like we had good shapes, Gary.
Yeah. Just before we get to Sterling, shot creating actions. Saka 91%, Martinelli 59 percentile in terms of where they sit. So that's probably the ones that we're most concerned about as a wing, what you produce, and Saka shows he's in the top percentile.
In the high.
Now, as far as Sterling, I didn't like, he came on, but I think like anything else, right? He came on pretty late into the game, where I don't think you can influence the game as much when you come in with like 10 minutes to go. I hate that maneuver, because it's hard to tell whether or not they even had enough time to get their legs wet, you know, get a sweat on them, basically, you know, to get into the game. So it's hard for me to get. I mean, the one thing I do recall is, hey, Jesus, instead of taking the ball maybe to the corner late in the game, you know, they got one last opportunity, and I think if Jesus takes the ball and goes to the corner flag, he runs the clock out there. He tries to turn inside, and they get the ball back, and they're able to go down, and actually, you know, I think they actually took a shot as well. So, but Sterling, I didn't see. I needed him to come in and get more minutes so we can actually see how it would work out when you have the lead and is less than 10 minutes to go. The play that you're doing is going to be different, right? You're not playing the same way you would.
Yeah, definitely. The game state is definitely different when you come in on that one. And look, if we had a better bench, maybe Mikel Arteta, you know, gives them another 10 minutes or something like that.
Yeah. I think it's Stephen. I think it's the shot creating, or the scoring creation is lacking there from Martinelli, because he puts himself in some really good situations, but we never seem to be able to get anything out of it. So that's kind of where I would go with that. So he's able to hold it under pressure, but we don't get much out of it.
I don't want to be saying this, but there's a lot about Martinelli's game that we find surprising. The fact that at this point in his career, you really would want to see him starting to make the right decisions. If he's going to be that I don't think he was ever that player that can pick out an assist or pick out a cross too much. He seems to be on the like to be on the end of things, and I can understand why a lot of our fans will say maybe his best position might be through the middle at the end of the day. If he's that focal, eventually going to be a focal point in the team, that might suit his game more. And now we bring Sterling in. We might have more wingers. Martinelli might have that opportunity to play through the middle. We would have to start maybe in some cup games, and we would have to discover that. But we've got Trossard, we've got Sterling, we've got Saka, and they could be the providers for Martinelli through the middle if, well, Mikel Arteta and Albert has not done that yet. With Saka and Martinelli, it's about the speed of action and the speed of thought, and it's the intention of the pass or the cross. And Saka gets it. I think Saka has that awareness about him, when to give the ball, when to take the shot. I think his game has progressed a little bit more, Gary, over the years. And obviously we're waiting for Martinelli to pick it up on that side. And it's come by committee on that left-hand side. It's been a combination last season of Martinelli and Trossard, mainly due to his injuries. But Martinelli is going to get a run in the side now, and it needs to start happening. It doesn't have to happen immediately, but we'd like to see it sometime soon.
I don't know. I hear what you're saying. I just feel like it needs to happen, and so far it hasn't. So might have to take another, go down a different road, and maybe that is the
drop down.
Maybe that's in where he needs to play. Maybe on the way. I know he's more on the right side, I believe, but and maybe maybe even a combination of Jesus and Trossard and Martinelli playing there, just to see if you can catch lightning in a bottle when they when they do play out there.
In the waning minutes of the game, like all of our forwards are substituted, Gary, as we mentioned. Sterling and Jesus come on for Trossard and Martinelli, and then Saka takes a knock and limps off. That doesn't mean it's going to preclude him from the following games. We've seen this from Bukayo Saka before. And Nwaneri comes on for him. What did you think of the cameo that Nwaneri Ethan had?
I mean, what did he come on? He came
84, 85 minutes.
Late, so the 5 minutes. I mean, that is like sometimes like typical what Teta would do with he'll bring somebody on with like 5 minutes ago. This was warranted, of course, but he looked comfortable out there. I mean, I do like him. He seems like the moment isn't too big for him. So
what I liked, Gary? The passes that he wanted to make. I'm thinking of two passes that he did make. One to Kai Havertz when he had strayed offside. Okay, he had the ability to make the pass. The thing when one area is, and of course Kai Havertz is, they need to get on the same page and beat that offside trap. On the other one, he fed Raheem Sterling, who was able to jink into the box and try to get on his right foot. But a little cameo from Nwaneri, who was able to, I think we can trust him with the ball. He's got the skill set and the ability, maybe to get more than 5-10 minutes from Mikel Arteta moving forward.
Yeah, no, I mean, as I've said, I believed he was always the number 2 to Martin Odegaard. So if that's the case, then he should be getting minutes, especially now. Where we are, he should be getting minutes. Especially, I know we've got 2 big games coming up, but if Odegaard is out come next week, probably see, it'd be nice to see him maybe get a start in that Bolton game, right? Because I think we play Bolton a week from Wednesday or whatever, right? So, I think that would be a good time. Like, he needs to get starts. If he's going to be part of the squad, that might be the best time to do that. It's a home match. Bolton is, I don't know where they sit in terms of the league, but it might be a good one to get him involved in.
Yeah, indeed. One area is kind of a young player, but as we say, the playbook could be opened up for him a little bit now. with Odegaard's injury. But I did hear reports that the reporters were saying they didn't want to risk Odegaard for today's game, which, we're going to get mixed news on Martin
I,
Odegaard.
I don't think getting 3 knocks in 3 games and then all right, he'll be back a game later. I think. I mean, come on. The man,
I just,
did you see
we're
him? Did
just
you see him? Did you
discussing
see
this.
him on the? Did you see him on the ground when he got when that tackle
Yeah,
when the collision happened? Did that
yeah.
look like a player that I don't think he's out.
He'll be
He's doing
back
that
within 2
for
weeks.
he's doing
Yeah,
that as for drama, right? I think he's that was legitimate. He was in pain.
yeah.
So if that's the case, then we don't need to rush him back because we really need him to when he does come back to just play through the rest of the season. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Look, I would agree with you. Timber was never read, and anybody who is having that discussion, they're just trying to banter you because they hate us, because they ain't us, and we're the Arsenal, and they will try to find. There's an intense jealousy around rival fans not wanting Arsenal to have visceral success again, and they believe you me, they're afraid that Arsenal could win the league. Um, as much as we want it, they're as afraid of it as much as we
But they
want.
will do everything they can to see that City gets whatever they need in
Yeah,
terms of
yeah,
wins and whatnot. Yeah, but
yeah,
then tomorrow they'll complain that City's ruined the game.
yeah.
So it's
You cut your cloth accordingly, right?
yes.
Rose said one area he's fine with the ball, but the concern for Arteta would be without the ball.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if he's going to take Odegaard's spot, he's going to be involved in pressing from the front. And Odegaard, yes, has to chase back a little bit, but when the ball goes past Odegaard, then we have our midfielders such as Rice or Partey, or in previous it was Xhaka would be the next person to come. So I think Ethan Waneri is, if we're going to roll the dice with Waneri, it's a perfect position to do it with. It's a creative attacking midfielder position. One where not that you want to lose the ball, you want to get passed by too much, but if you do, you've got at least 2 more lines to beat, 2 more lines to break, and that would be midfield and defense. And then you got to get to David Raya, who has only conceded 1 goal in 4 games so far.
And
Yeah.
and it's not the only way he's going to. I mean, I don't know what he is like off the ball. Rule, I don't know if you've seen him play off the ball in the academy and the U21s or U23 games that he's played as far as off the ball. But until he plays at a they give him some substantial minutes, we'll never see it in a true game state where it's required, right?
Mm-hmm.
So. And I think Sterling. I think you brought up Sterling earlier about defensive, responsibilities. I think we're asking too much. Like you need to understand where your certain skill sets of your players. Just like Zinchenko, right? We're not going to lean on his defensive talents as much as we would on like a Timber or a Calafiori or a Damiasu, right? I think Sterling is in that same kind of boat where for me, I think his offense will outshine his defense for sure, as it should. But I think we can't be leaning on his defense as much. And if he does have mistakes up there, it is far up the pitch usually, so it won't be a threat to us because we should have the midfield, the back line, and the goalkeeper to cover up for those mistakes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Indeed. Okay, so a couple other things before we get out of here. Want to just recap where we are so far. This season, we have the 2 wins to start out. We got the disappointing draw against Brighton, and now we picked up another win as well today. Going up against Man City next week, Luca thinks we'll draw against Man City. And, a draw would not be the worst result. I don't care if Arsenal fans will want to frame it as we came for a draw and we didn't have the ambition. I don't think you can actually go to Man City and have a divine right to feel like you're going to win there. you will try to go and win there, but it is Man City as well. Um, but yeah, I think we're in a good spot, Gary. We're 2 points behind City. And look, what's the worst case scenario? We get beaten there, and we're 5 points behind City.
No, that's the mindset I don't like.
I
Because
wanted to get that out of the way first
yeah,
off.
I don't know. You're already like trying to get like oh, the defeat's okay or something like that. I don't like that mindset.
I'm saying, wow,
And I say it all the time. We go and play to win every game that we play. Right? We'll settle for the draw, but we're going out there to get the win. And we have a team that can get the win at Etihad. We did play them pretty. We had more than enough chances the last time we played at Etihad to
yeah,
win that game. More than I think City did. So this time, we're gonna be a little depleted, but defensively we're solid, right? And I think their defense isn't as solid as ours. So, we should be able to, and our set pieces should be something we can lean on as well, right?
yeah.
I don't mind winning 1-0 off a set piece again. I don't care. I'll take it because that's whatever your strengths are, you
Wherever you
should
get
lean
it,
on it, right? So
yeah,
we'll take it. Yeah.
wherever you get it.
For me, we should have a game plan to win. Yeah, it doesn't mean take risks and stuff like crazy risks and stuff, but when opportunity arises, we should be trying to get that goal to take a lead.
So let's just quickly project into next Sunday,
Yeah.
and what kind of
Why are
team?
we jumping over Atalanta?
Well, we're
I,
staying in the same competition. We're not jumping. We're
no, but
staying in the
that
same
has a lot to
competition.
do with how the City match.
For
Like,
me, it's always about the next game, Gary. And the next game in the league
no,
is
no, no, no.
City.
No. They don't. It doesn't work that way, Ray. It doesn't work that way. That's like saying our next, the 2 week break between international, the international break. It doesn't matter what happens within that. It
Right.
does actually matter, especially like players that you want to see their form improve and they play in it. You want to hope that they can improve their form. Players that need the rest, they get the rest.
All
Players
right.
hopefully don't get injured,
I'll
all of that.
I'll
So
do it. I'll do it the right way then. Let's
yeah.
talk about the team really quickly on Thursday, just so just so you can be happy with the flow.
No, I just think when we kind of glance over it, then we come back next week and we're like, the Atlanta game
Yeah.
affected us going into the City game, and it's like, yeah, it can,
I think it'll give
yeah,
us rhythm as well. I think
yeah,
some people say that, it's Thursday and we're going to have a shorter preparation to Sunday. Actually, I see it more as a rhythm. Like we're still Man City. Okay, they finished their game yesterday, right? They have an extra day of preparation, but we have an extra few days of preparation for at Atlanta. Maybe actually get some rest into the legs of some of the players today. Like Jorginho had cramp toward the end of the game. You know, I think another player had cramp as well.
yeah,
So, and you can see Gabriel Magalhaes as well. Maybe the emotion of the game. So it's very important. You realize you're playing a North London derby. There's going to be some emotion in there, and there's some nerves in there. The players feel that, and the players need to recuperate, and so probably like tomorrow will be a very light session for them. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
As they come down from this game.
No, for sure there should be some rotation, and I didn't realize that Jorginho struggled, and that's one reason why I didn't want him to play 90 minutes. One,
Yeah.
especially him, he hadn't played pretty much all season, and then he goes in and they expect him to be able to play 90 minutes. I think that's why I don't want that because now who knows
78
what
minutes.
who knows what the recovery. Oh, it's 78 minutes, so he didn't play the
He
full.
was
But
cramping. Well, no,
yeah,
he played the full game, but he was cramping in 78 minutes.
yeah. So did we push it too much by keeping him on? Will he
Yeah.
recover in time for whatever the next game he's supposed to play in?
Mm-hmm.
Be it
Mm-hmm.
the Thursday game or the Sunday game. We don't know. We'll see. It takes a lot of time for the older bodies to recover. So, and then you don't want to push it because then they get injured and they're out even longer.
Yeah.
So, we can't afford that either. So yeah, no, I
As,
think we should have a rotation. I think we talked a little bit about it earlier, right? Maybe Saka sits this one out, and
mm-hmm.
you let Sterling or Jesus if they're ready to get 60, 70 minutes into their legs onto the pitch, right?
Yeah.
So
Sterling, Jesus, On the left side, who are we going to go with? Maybe Trossard,
Yeah, but you know what?
Martinelli,
We know,
persevere with
yeah,
Martinelli.
yeah. I kind of feel like we need to press the Martinelli button until we can't press it
And
anymore.
he's got Jesus. He could line out with Jesus.
Yeah,
So
he feels
there,
comfortable
there,
doing that, right? Playing alongside him sometimes.
there,
That
it
might that
does
might
help.
that might
Yeah.
open open the bank for him, kind of, open an
Rice,
account for him, kind of thing.
Declan Rice will have to come back in,
Yep.
right?
So
Give
that,
him
yeah,
some flow on
yep,
Thursday. Who's going to partner Rice in midfield? Maybe it's a good one for one area to get that experience.
yeah.
Is that too big of a game in Italy? Could be.
It could be. I mean, they are the Euro was it
Europa League.
Europa League champion, so it's not going to be. They haven't been in there
Let's
in the
say
Champions League, I think, in a bit. So, or
Rice and Partey.
yeah, no, I think Rice Partey and then that third spot once again is open again to
Havertz.
discussion. How do you want to do that? Like that's another one where again, do we want to put, I know you're saying this again, Havertz in the midfield, right? Because you let
I'm
Jesus
saying it
and
again.
certain stuff,
Yeah.
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 So I know, yeah, and that because that'd be a good one to go because it's on the road. If we're able to maintain that midfield, we should be able to. Maybe we'll still the points, but we won't lose, kind of thing, because we won't get run over in the midfield. That's kind
That
of
is true.
the thing we want. But yeah, no, I think if
Turn our defenders.
Calafiori comes back, does he get some minutes?
Yeah, and I'm
Yeah.
not quite sure about what's the timeline on Calafiori?
I don't. Yeah, I don't know. I knew that Arteta said Jesus and Calafiori both. It was let's see how they practice, and
Close. Okay.
then get them in.
Yeah.
They must have Calafiori must have practiced and not been good enough to start. So when
Maybe you can.
we had 5 academy kids on the
Actually,
bench,
it's
5 academy kids on the bench. Yeah,
probably a perfect game, Gary Calafiori, to go back to Italy and play in Italy.
true,
You know,
true.
it's not like he wouldn't have played in that stadium before, even.
Experience is key, right? So
Yeah.
yeah.
Going back to City real quick, Man City will lose points, so a draw will be okay. However, 3 points should always be the goal. Every opportunity to take points off City must be taken, and they're playing a little bit loose at the back. There's a mistake or two in that City defense. Again, it comes down to this Arsenal side profiting and being good enough and being efficient enough to take advantage of those mistakes. We had opportunities. Well, what I'm sure you'll have an opportunity to watch this game back in the coming days, Gary, and you'll see we had 3 or 4 decent opportunities to. We actually got at their back line with space and opportunities to switch the play many times, and we didn't do it. And we're going to have to improve upon that, especially when we go to City. Mr. Lowy said, in my opinion, we have been getting increasingly close to City as a team over the years. Fingers crossed we should be able to take the win, but we would take a draw. And that's reasonable. There are some Arsenal fans out there that already feel like this Arsenal team should be dominating City for the last 3 years. We had opportunities to win the league.
Yeah.
We did have opportunities to win the league.
Dominating is one thing, but we can definitely compete with them where they like in the past, instead of like losing 3 and 5-0 or whatever it is to them, right?
Yes.
We can definitely compete with them, and we should be able to.
Mm.
We've stolen points. Not stolen points. We've taken points off of them. So
We can hang with them
yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
Good morning, Stan. I hope everything's well with you. It was indeed a very nervy game, but 3 points in the bag. The nerves comes with before the goal. The nerves come in terms of we need this more than they do. We need 3 points. We can't take a step backwards and put a less importance on the league, because if you start losing games, and you start getting separated from Man City, and they go, it's like you unhitch the carriage, the links on the train of the carriage. Man City keep going, and you just keep going with that momentum, but they're separating. The train is separating from the carriage, and you can't let that happen. So the nerves came that way before the goal. We scored a goal. We are euphoric, and we celebrate that. And then it's the we need to hold on to these 3 points situations. So definitely was a nervy game. And we wanted that second goal, Gary. Yeah, but
Yep,
you know,
yep, yep. Yeah, no, we wanted it's 3 point hunting basically from here on out. Because every Champions League and Premier League, right? They're all it's 3 points that we need to get right now for there's 8 games in the Champions League, and all 3 points matters there. So
yeah,
if we're able to
and
if we're able to steal 3 points at Atalanta, we're gonna take it, right? And that helps, as you said, build going into the City match, right? You want to go into that game feeling good that how you played. Doesn't matter
confidence,
who plays because we're gonna
momentum.
have to rotate our players in and out the lineup. So
Yeah,
you don't play, you probably get minutes though. If you don't start, you probably get minutes anyways. But that's where we need to be. So
yeah,
yeah,
confidence and momentum are key in this game. And I think Arsene Wenger said confidence can go like you're dropping out of an elevator, or the elevator is hitting the ground. Confidence can go quickly, and it's very hard. It takes a while for confidence to build, and you only get that by playing games every 3 days. So yeah, we have been increasingly close to City as a team over the years. Fingers crossed, should be able to take the win. And we've beaten them before. So here we are, 4 games in with 10 points on the board. Um, and yeah, we go to Thursday night. Declan Rice will come back in. Gary, we're going to get out of here unless there's one or two other things you wanted to mention. Um, the Tony Don one man in the match. I mean, Alonso stated Timber, and you stated Gabriel, but I think it would be. We'll let some of the. We'll just say they share it this week, okay? Between Gabriel and Timber,
yeah.
it's hard to split it because
It's one of those things for me. Like do you who if one player scores one goal and one player scores 2 goals, basically has two positive style parts to the game. You
yeah,
give it to the player with the two. Well, for me, if two defenders are playing, they both contribute to a clean sheet, but one of them scores the winning goal. How do you not give it to that defender? They're both equal in the sense that as far as defensive stability we had back there, but one of them scored the winning goal, the only goal in the game. So for me, it seems easy enough that Gabriel gets it because he contributed on the offensive side as well.
yeah,
On the defensive side, I don't think either of them defensively I had any issues with concerns with, right?
yeah.
So
I just wanted to be yelling Timber today.
no, I know you want to give it to him, but I just feel like you're skewing the rules a little bit just to get your man in, when in reality it should just go to the one that actually performed better. He performed
Yeah,
better, right?
yeah,
Because he did produce. I mean, if that was Timber taking a shot from the 18, right? Because he usually plays outside the box and he scores on it. You, it's like you would be like, how are you giving it to Gabrielle? You know what I mean? I believe that's what you would have said. Like, how in the
mhm,
world would you
mhm.
give it to Gabrielle? Timber scored the only goal of the game,
I
right?
I
So
have been no, I have been known to have flaws here and there in my game, Gary. That's fair. It's fair. I do
yeah,
have flaws in my game as well.
yeah,
Listen, for Tottenham, it was a North London derby for Tottenham, but Arsenal was so solid in this North London derby win. I was going with the Timber and solid thing, but Gabriel is definitely made of some strong stuff as well. Um, I thought Saliba was very disciplined as well in his game as well. So, and I thought Ben White, while not the best defender on the field today, he was definitely um, part of a defense that held firm against Tottenham playing at home. Gary, what's the one word you would use to describe this match?
oh man, we.
I think I use. I think I'm going to go with
No,
solid.
it's
Solid.
Excel, right? Excel is kind of what I think, because it was I mean, those are the games that we can play with with the makeup of the squad, right? We can play
Hmm.
a 1-0 to the Arsenal. We don't see it that often, so when we see it, it's a scary sight sometimes. But we are defensively solid to be able to win games this way. So So I kind of felt like this is just what we do, right? So it's one word to describe it. It's
Resolve.
yeah. It's
How
just
about resolve?
it's just Arsenal way kind of thing. So it's
What's the
Arsenal.
word for strength of character?
Yeah.
A character win?
Well,
That
there
could
you
be a
go.
good one.
Yeah.
Character win. Coming off of all of the bad news we had on the field, what happened to Declan Rice, the PGMOL, the FA
Yeah.
doing what they did?
You know what now, Ray?
Mhm.
It don't matter anymore.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't
No.
matter now anymore. We should once the game started, it didn't really matter. He wasn't going to play. Now that we got the win, it really doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
Can really
Yeah.
we can move on to the next one
Right.
and try to win that one. So
And Declan Rice will put his boots on Thursday. He should come back into the midfield. Probably give Jorginho a break because he was dead on his feet at the end of the game with cramp. Thomas Partey, we need to be careful about Thomas's minutes as well.
Yeah.
He went to play with Ghana for 2 games, and he's played now a full game.
Yeah,
We know
See, professional is probably a good one because that's
it was
kind
a
of like this
professional
would be
performance.
or typical, right? This is just a typical way we can win a match, right? We
Yeah.
don't have to outscore you. I mean, we can, but we don't have to. So
Yeah. We know Thomas Partey. We know what he is, and we know we can't give him too many games in any slate of a month. Let's say go month by month. This was a win that we had to get without key players, and the media will beat us with that brush or stick. Other teams do it, so Arsenal need to do it. No Odegaard, no Rice. I still have a nagging feeling that Odegaard could be less than 3 months.
Yeah,
I hope it is.
I hope so. Yeah.
If you have like the reporter saying he was a possibility for today, but it would have been painful. He would have had to probably have taken injections. Mr. Lowy said, Resolve is right. I know I'm going to be humming to the Arsenal 1-0 at work today. And look, that's it. I mean, you just got to row in with this Arsenal team. Believe that I've been saying it for a few seasons now. We're at the beginning of the window. We're at the beginning of a cycle where we need to win things. We could have won last season, but for a couple of missteps, we're still that team that we were last year. Unfortunately, Gary, we could have a Fulham away where we lose 2-1 and we look horrible. We could have a West Ham. I know you hate to say it.
No more of no more of those.
Team.
No more of those. We are a different team once again, right? That's what we said last year. The last couple of years, every year we've gone into it, it's a different team than we were the previous year. Those games we're going to go into, no. They know the feeling.
Arsenal.
They know the feeling of losing early, losing late, and all of that kind of thing, right? So they just know. They know. Hopefully now that they got to play all the games as it's the last one, all right? So.
Yeah, and they know that if you can't get ahead of City early, you can't let them get ahead of you early as well in this season. We're solid. We had a solid back 6. Our 4 defenders and 2 midfielders were probably the winning of the game. Trossard in midfield progressed the ball forward nicely for Havertz up front, and I think the Odegaard absence will allow Trossard, Martinelli, Jesus, and Wari to have more minutes as well. Those are I think are the key points for us today. And step 1 of what I call 3 season-defining games on Thursday night. We passed the first test with colors, maybe not flying colors.
We passed the 4th test.
The 4th test, okay.
Yes.
We take it, and
we got 38 Premier League tests.
But we only look at the next one. Only look at the next one, Gary. I know you by now. You will stop me from.
I believe they build into the next one. Every game, every practice builds into the next thing. The next time you have to go and perform. So
you always stop me from jumping to the City game because let's not overlook Thursday in the Champions League, which will be in a league format, and if you want to be in the top 8, you'd have to be around 15 or 16 points, I believe, after 8 games. If
You,
there's
you,
only
you think so?
24,
Because okay, wait.
yeah.
So there's, I mean, okay, yes.
If
Okay,
you want to be in the top 8, you know
yeah,
what I mean?
I think if you hit 18, then I think you should be in.
We should be
Sure.
safe, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And on Thursday night, we're going to go and try and get points there, but it's going to be notoriously difficult to get wins or points away from home. But you're going to have to do it if you want to be in automatically in that top 8. And we all know how crazy the fixtures are, Gary. The we're seeing it through the summer, the championships that we had, the Copa America and the Euros, that the biggest players are being asked. There's a lot being asked of the biggest players, and if you can avoid a playoff in January, February of 2 extra games, you need to strive for that in the Champions League and make that top 8 bracket where you don't have to be in that playoff, because the governing bodies like to create more competitions and more games and more money, I guess, and it puts a stress on the players at the end of the day. So, Guy, I will see you next here on Thursday night. Hopefully, all being well. We'll talk about this win, but we'll talk about hopefully a win in the Champions League as well at Atlanta. And you, I think, will have a show tomorrow evening as well.
Yep. So tomorrow, check us out on DWTT. So it's the trip, 7:30 p.m. for you guys on the East Coast, 12:30 a.m. for you guys on the across the pond. So yeah, we'll be talking about the game. Hopefully looking at it from a different view. We'll have 2 different people on there with me, so we'll probably say different things and all of that.
You always will get different views as well when you get more people at the table as well and different views. It's good for conversation. All right, Gary, thanks for joining. Alonso, thanks for joining. Also, this morning we had a pre-game show as well. It was very interesting to see which way Mikel Arteta went. He went for the tried and trusted. He didn't push the envelope with anything new or innovative. But we get away with 1-0 win and 3 points. Thanks, everybody. We are out of here. Slap a like on your way out if you have not. Subscribe if you have not. And we'll see you on Thursday. Go check out Gary. Search DWTT Arsenal.
Yep.
There you go.